everyone, and welcome to this week's sermon prayer. As this coming weekend we'll be celebrating the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time, Year C. And our readings are as follows. Our first reading is from the book of the prophet Isaiah, chapter 66, verses 10 to 14. And here, God is saying that He will extend prosperity to Jerusalem like a river. He says that it will be like overflowing streams to the nations. He says so that the people of Jerusalem, they will suck and they'll be satisfied. You shall be carried upon the hip and fondled on the knees. As you see, this is an image of a child and its mother. It says, as one whom his mother comforts, so I will comfort you. You shall find comfort in Jerusalem. This is a God turning back to a people who had lost hope, who had turned from God and run so far that they didn't think that there was any coming back. They didn't think that God would have any reason to accept them back. But today, in this book, he says, rejoice with Jerusalem and be glad with her, all who love her. He says, even to those who are mourning over her, he says, there's no reason for that because God is doing things anew. He's bringing back his holy people, and once more they shall look up to him. And our second reading is from the letter of St. Paul to the Galatians, chapter 6, verses 14 to 18. And it begins with Paul saying that, far be it from me to glory except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, by which the world has been crucified to me. Paul says, I've got no reason to boast. There's nothing on my own that I can boast about. But one thing that I can boast about is the cross of Christ. For neither circumcision counts for anything, nor uncircumcised, but a new creation. Paul is looking at man in himself, circumcised or uncircumcised. Doesn't matter anymore from the walks of life that you come from. But now the central thing, the most important thing, is the cross of Christ. It's to glory in Jesus Christ, who died for us and who has been raised from the dead, which means that you and I no longer die, that you and I are no longer susceptible to the corruption of sin and death, that we have sort of been taken out of that. Henceforth, let no man trouble me, for I bear on my body the marks of Jesus. The grace of our Lord Jesus Christ be with you, my brethren. Paul, qualified tent maker who becomes the greatest theologian and evangelizer, he says there's nothing anymore that's going to stop in my way. There's nothing else that I'm going to turn to. There's nothing else that's going to make me want to leave this path. All that I can glory in is Christ who has been crucified. I wonder how true that is for Christians nowadays. To say, like St. Paul, that a lot of things no longer matter. As long as I've got Christ in my corner, as long as my life is pleasing to him, as long as I live one with him, I should be okay. And our second reading, and our gospel reading is the gospel according to Luke, chapter 10, verses 1 to 12, and then 17 to 20. This is a story about when the Lord appoints 72 others, we are told, and he sends them ahead 2 by 2. And there's something interesting in this sending. He first tells them that the harvest it's huge, but the laborers are very few. He says, pray that the Lord of the harvest sends out more laborers into his harvest. I know that we use this verse when we're speaking about vocations, especially vocations to the priesthood. And we say that the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. And we get it from here. And then he sends out to these 72 men going in pairs. He says, "Go your way. Behold, I send you out like lambs among wolves. Carry no purse, no bag, no sandal. Salute no one on the road. Whatever house you enter, you say, 'Peace be to this house.' And if a person of peace lives there, your peace will go to them. If it's a person who doesn't have peace, it will return to you." But see, as Jesus sends them, number one, he tells them that this is a dangerous excursion. You're going to be like lambs among wolves. But on top of that, he tells them, don't carry anything. He says that you don't have to worry about bags or sandals or purse. He says, don't even salute anyone as you walk about. Now, if you are going to look at these three readings, if you're going to look at the first reading where God speaks about bringing back Jerusalem and having her suckle on the breast and fondled on the knees. And as you go to the second reading as well, where St. Paul speaks about nothing else mattering except the marks of Christ that are in his body, and combine it with this gospel reading about the sending out of the 72, there's something that surely we see there. We see a God who takes care of us. We see a God who loves us. We see a God who brings us back when we have run away from him. When we think we don't deserve a second chance, he calls us back to him. And once he calls us back, then we become like Paul. We look at it and we say, actually nothing else matters, because we've tried so many other things. They don't get us where we are supposed to be. Nothing matters anymore except for the cross of Christ. All now that we are going to live and preach and rejoice over as Christ crucified. And then we become then like those 72, where we no longer trust in ourselves, in our own power, in our own willingness and our own will. We now go where Christ sends us, and we carry nothing because we know that he doesn't only provide, but he is in the journey with us. He walks the journey with us, to experience with us, and to protect us and give us strength as we go along. And then once we experience that, once that is our reality, then together with the psalmist we cry out with joy to God, all the earth. Once God has become all in all, we sing glory to his name. We render him glorious praise. We say to God, how awesome are your deeds. And I know a lot of us have experienced that. We've experienced God moving us in places where we never thought we'd get out, healing us in pains where we never thought we were going to get healing. And then we cry aloud indeed and say that his deeds are awesome. So this is what we'll be looking at as we celebrate the 14th Sunday in Ordinary Time this coming weekend. I hope to see you guys in person, and even those who tune in online. Have a great one and you take care. Bye-bye.